You know, when you use an AI, it can feel like, well, like magic, right? It seems to understand what you're asking, it reasons, it gives you these super confident answers. But underneath that shiny surface, the way it actually learns is something else entirely. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain and see the simple mechanical process that's really running the show.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about that illusion of intelligence. Then, we're going to watch an AI make a really simple mistake. After that, we'll see exactly how it learns from that penalty. And finally, we'll get to the heart of it, the mechanical mind that's actually at work.
Let's start with a feeling I think we've all had. AI feels smart. It answers our questions, and it sounds so sure of itself. But that confidence, that's actually where the whole mystery begins. And that leads us to the big question, doesn't it? If a machine has zero real understanding of France, or what a capital city is, if it doesn't even get what words are, how on earth does it learn to give you the right answer? It feels like a total paradox, but the explanation is actually surprisingly simple.
So to figure this out, we're going to do something a little different. We're not going to sit here and be impressed by all the amazing things AI can do. Nope. Today, we are going to watch it fail, because it's right there in that moment of failure that you can actually see how it learns.
Okay, this is probably the biggest thing to get your head around right at the start. AI learning is not some flash of genius. There is no aha moment. It's really just a slow, grinding process of making mistakes and getting corrected over and over again. Think of it less like a brain having an idea and more like a machine being slowly tuned to be just a little bit less wrong each time. All right, let's actually see this in action. To make it super clear, we're going to give our AI one very, very simple task. The task is just this. Fill in the blank. The capital of France is... That's it. No tricks, no complex logic. Just predict the single word that should come next.
And what's its first yes? Dog. Now, your first instinct might be to think, well, that's just dumb. But it's not about being stupid. It's because at the very beginning, the whole system is basically random. It has absolutely no idea what a good answer even looks like yet.
So what's actually going on inside the machine? This is where it gets really interesting. It's not like there's a tiny encyclopedia in there with facts and maps. It's just math. The AI is basically looking at thousands of possible words. And at this point, words like dog, house, river, and yeah, even Paris all have a tiny, almost equal chance of being the next word. It's just picking from a giant sea of nearly random options.
Okay, so obviously the guess was wrong. And this is the moment where the learning actually kicks in. The system needs feedback to know it needs to change.
Because it said dog when the right answer was Paris, the system gets what we can call a penalty signal. It's not being punished. It's just a mathematical nudge, a little bit of pressure that basically says, hey, whatever you just did, that led to a bad result. Try to avoid that pathway next time.
So after that one tiny correction, the AI tries again on a similar problem, and this time it guesses city. Now that's still wrong, of course, but it's an improvement. It's definitely less wrong than dog. The system has taken one small, clumsy step in the right direction.
And that right there, that perfectly shows you the core logic. The AI's goal is not to find the truth or understand geography. Its one single-minded goal is to make little adjustments that make that penalty signal smaller. It's just trying to be less wrong.
So really, this whole complicated idea of AI learning just boils down to this simple three-step loop over and over again. 1, it makes a guess. 2, it gets feedback, that penalty signal. And 3, it makes a tiny little adjustment to try and lower that penalty next time. That's it.
And when I say over and over, I'm not talking about a few dozen times. This loop is repeated billions, with a B, billions of times, across mountains of text data. Every single time it's making one of those tiny, tiny adjustments. So after doing this billions of times, something pretty remarkable starts to happen. But what it tells us about how an AI thinks is the real takeaway here. Eventually, after countless corrections, you ask it the question, and the system gives you the right answer, Paris. Now, from the outside, it looks perfect. It looks like it finally learned a fact about the world. But, and this is so important, you have to understand that inside that machine, no light bulb went off. There was no aha moment. The AI did not suddenly realize that Paris is the capital of France. Let me say that again, nice and slow, because if you get one thing from this explainer, this is it.
The AI did not learn geography. It learned which answer makes the penalty signal go away. It figured out the statistical pattern that providing the word Paris after the phrase the capital of France is the best strategy to stop being corrected. It mastered a pattern. It did not understand a concept.
So why is this so important to know? Well, for one, it's why an AI can sound so incredibly confident and still be completely wrong. It's just giving you the pattern that is statistically most likely. It also means its answers are only ever as good as the data and the feedback it was trained on. It has no outside source of truth. And finally, it means that if the training data is bad or the correction is poor, the AI will learn those flaws and repeat them over and over again.
And all of this leaves us with one last, really interesting question. If we know that learning is just this mechanical process of correction, then what is it deep inside the AI's network that's actually being changed with each one of those tiny adjustments?
In our next explainer, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to dive one level deeper and actually look at the internal mechanics of the model to answer that very question. Hope to see you there.